Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at this new dash cam that I have. It's something I actually picked up not too long ago. I want to be able to show you what it's capable of doing, and we'll take a look at it and the specs throughout the episode here. So let's go take a look.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. This one here is the Modle R300. It's a dual camera, it has dual camera on here for the dash cam itself, one for the exterior, one for the interior. This is an unboxing of this particular dash cam itself. It comes with GPS, G sensor already built into it, and let's take a look what's inside. Here we go. Comes with a nice little manual. Comes with a couple different languages on it: Japanese, English, French, German. So that's good stuff. Nice little suction cup guy here to put it on your window itself. Most of the other dash cams that I've had either use a suction cup like this, but the actual pivot here was either too small and it broke off very easily, or it was just what they had is a double-sided tape, one for this side where you put it against the window, and the other part against the plastic on the inside here. This here happens to be good and thick, so this is a good sign. I like something like this with a little hefty oomph behind it. It also comes with a cord to power it up on your cigarette lighter that you have in the car, or van in this case, or if you have a truck as well. And here is the antenna actually for the GPS itself. This here is what you would attach to the dash cam itself, and it actually gives the coordinates within the dash cam itself, where the location of the recording was. Now, just to let you know, for this particular model of dash cam itself, here's the little case there to hold it up on the dash cam itself. Now, let me just pull this here out. I hate when they're stuck like this. There we go. Here's the actual unit itself. This here is the camera itself in the middle, in the center right here, for the inside or the interior of where you're actually sitting in the car or your vehicle. And the external one is right there with the built-in microphone for the exterior, and the interior one over here. Now this here, I believe, is also for lighting purposes at night. So when you go out driving, you'll be able to see somewhat better than without any infrared lights to help you take a look outside of the actual vehicle itself. So the other thing is with the software that comes with this, there is no actual software itself. It's only firmware per se. But when you put in your SD card right over here, there's a little slot in there which you're going to have to format anyhow, because it uses a proprietary format for this. But it also includes an executable that comes from here, that gets installed from here into the SD card, and then from the SD card you'll use something like a micro SD card reader that you can actually pull the actual video from, and it'll give you the GPS coordinates. It'll use Google Map to actually show you the location of where the recording was happening. It does not, the actual location or the Google Maps part won't show up within the video itself, because that's something separate. But what I'm going to do here, or what I would like to do here as well, is also give you some actual live footage in regards to this. The resolution is not so bad. It's 1280 by 480 using both cameras at the same time. And then there's also 640 by 480 on either camera, so either interior or exterior. It's only 640 by 480, so that should be more than enough for just general recordings for your videos if you're going to use it like that. I'm going to be using this mainly for driving purposes for my vlogs and for whatever else I deem fit to go out on the road with. So this is also helpful, and you can also turn off the mic as well, so that way you don't have any sound recordings. I might do that as well with this, where I just don't want to have my voice or any background music on or background noise on the video itself, so that way it's completely drowns it out. The funny thing about this here is you can actually switch manually on here to either front or back cameras or both. So I'm going to show you this with some footage I'm going to take this afternoon, and we'll take a look at it together both day and night. So what we're going to do next is I'm actually going to go out on the road with this and actually test it out. So let's go there and try it out right now, okay? Okay, to get this installed in, it took me only about 10 or 15 seconds once I got the adapter screwed in to hold it onto the suction cup and apply it just to the wall, to the window itself, as we can see here. It's ready to go with the actual plug. Now, I didn't actually put in the actual GPS connector on it, so that there I'm going to leave out separate, because for me to have the GPS on there is not worth the time, because I'm not going to be needing the data from it for any of my driving and all that. So let's take a look at it once I get the car started. And what we're going to do is I'm going to actually leave it with the two screens, one where it's going to be facing forward and the other one where it's going to be facing me while driving, so that way we can get the first looks of the two cameras being used at the same time. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, here we go. Yay! We're actually going to get going. I'm going to go over to flea market in Laval, and this is one of the tests that I'm doing right now with the camera itself, where you actually see me on the right hand side of your screen and the actual driving going forwards. So this is one of the things that I'm going to actually do switch over to just the front camera itself, but right now just going to test it out with both. And as you can see, there's a wide enough angle to see both the inside and the outside of the car at the same time. This is using the 1280 by 480 resolution on both cameras at the same time. The reason why I don't think it'll do 720p on a single lens is for the fact is too much data coming in for both. Besides the point that where we're going to be needing to use that high of a resolution, but still you get good quality. You're going to get good quality effects on the image itself, which is a good sign. So let's actually head over to the actual place. So I'm going to go actually over in Laval here, which is not too far away. It's actually right across the bridge. I'm thinking of either heading to Carrefour or going to St. Martin Flea Market, which is one of the flea markets I do tend to go to from time to time. And it's a nice little place to visit, especially if you're taking a look for whatever you want at a flea market. Usually they don't charge any tax, which is a good sign. So the runtime on here on this particular model was never mentioned in the manual itself. I can only gather or guess that it is probably either 5 or 10 minutes worth of recording time per little recording, because I know on some previous models that I had on the dash cams there, you can either set it to 1, 5, or 10-minute recording sessions where it records the shots itself. So you have like 5 or 10 minutes maximum recording per little slide. So that was always good to know, because depending on how far you're going to travel, or if you just needed a minute or two worth of shooting, it would also be there within the saved files. here I think it's about 5 or 10 minutes. We're going to actually see when we get back home afterwards whether it's going to be a 5 or a 10-minute shot. And I'll definitely use my other camera, my other digital camera to take a look when we get back home, and I have it actually the micro SD card in the SD card reader at home. So you'll actually see the software that's being used to actually get to the actual footage. And like I said, the SD card here that I have inserted is a 32 gig, which I didn't mention before while I was doing the unboxing. But it's a proprietary format, so with the software that's built into the actual hardware here, it gets put onto the SD card, so that way when you do retrieve it at home, you can actually retrieve it and see the location and save the files that you want to save off of the SD card. So let's head there now, which we're doing very nicely, and we're doing about close to 100 kilometers an hour, which is about 60 miles an hour. Can't say much. It looks like a good camera. So far, so good. Knock on wood, as they say. Now, what I may do later on is I may just cut out the sound and do the voiceovers while doing this, so that way it gives everybody an idea of what's happening. In future episodes of my vlogs, more likely will have the sound off in regards to it, so you won't see me here with this, with both the interior and the exterior, unless I have something to say, which is going to be more than just the interior of things. So that way we'll know what to do afterwards. Okay? Just so you guys are aware of it. So I don't want you guys to freak out saying, oh yeah, about this, oh yeah, about that. It's going to get done during editing here. So that's one thing I'd like to say. So far so good. And the frame rate is about 30 frames a second here. I know most people will think that you need higher frame rates in certain cases, but for something like this, 30 frames a second should be more than enough for recording. The human eye only does about 24, 25 frames a second. 30 should be more than enough. That's more overlapping than you need for. So that's always good to know. Tell you what, just having this camera does make a little bit of a difference, makes me more aware of what's happening. But at the same time, I'm just being more cautious. I'm not trying to use foul language too at the same time. And here we go. Just coming to the 440 now. There's usually traffic coming about over here. What I am going to do is I'm going to try to get some night shots as well too, so that way we have a variety of stuff to try out. This right now is just during the daytime, which has more than enough lighting in regards to sunlight and all that, but I don't know how good it is on the nighttime. And from what I remember with some of the other ones, that I had, like the Go Safe, and another one which is actually a no-name brand that I had bought at Walmart. It had used kind of like infrared lighting. None of that is on this one here, so I'm presuming that the CCD cameras themselves have a light enough view. In other words, they'll take in more light during the nighttime to compensate for the low lighting in regards to it. So I'm hoping that it'll be fine during that time, and we'll take a look once I get the footage all compiled together. So this one might be just for the daytime, and I'll do another one in regards to the nighttime. Come on, folks. Here we go. Come on, come on. As you can see, there was a passenger walker going across. Sometimes they like taking their time, especially when it's minus 50 degrees outside. The things we do here up in Canada. The assembly part of this took probably under 5 minutes, well, not even 5 minutes to hook it up onto the wall, up onto the window. The one thing I wanted to add too here, it does come in with a built-in lithium-ion battery. One thing I would usually suggest for something like this, I did charge it for a couple hours. So the one thing I haven't done is I haven't used the battery yet. I am going to try to, when I do bring it inside, of course, I am going to try to charge the battery up full in regards to it, just to see how long it is it takes for a full charge up, and just try draining the battery for the first time around. I probably more likely will not use the battery too often, because I know some batteries, they'll last 5-10 minutes. Some will last, like in this case here, from what I was reading within the book, lasts about an hour or two on a charge. So for something like that there, I'm a little bit hesitant using the battery. I'd rather have it plugged in and go from there in regards to it, because for the simple fact, it's one of those types that require a long charging time, and instead of waiting around for it to charge, just might as well just plug it in and let it charge and use it at the same time, since you're getting the full power from the alternator itself on the car. So let's find a parking space. Where is a parking space? Oh, darn it. Come on, folks. Careful of all. Here we are. You think I could find a parking space somewhere? Oh, here we are. Oh, here we go. My arm. And ta-da! We're here, folks. So I'll be back regards to the continuation of this, and we'll continue on from there afterwards. So let's go.
Well, I'm back. Well, this is an interesting little dash cam. As you had seen in some of the raw footage that I actually had taken, the resolution for using both cameras was really great, which is 1280 by 480 to film both the first and second camera. So like where you see it going it forwards, driving on the outside, where I'm actually pointing the car to go to places, and the second one where you actually had seen me on the right hand side of the image with the audio on, of course, seems to be relatively good in resolution wise. The only thing that I have a major complaint about this particular product is that the resolution on a single camera, meaning that like if you're pointing it out forward or facing it forward and it's showing outside, or it's showing the individual on the dash cam itself, is only 640 by 480, which is standard VGA resolution, not the 720p or the 1080p as you would have in some of the other ones. The other one that I do have, the older one, which I still have, and it's still usable, thank God for that, is this one here, which I actually picked up for about 50 bucks. Okay, the only problem with this is the actual attachment for this one that I picked up at Walmart for 50 bucks. The attachment that actually suctions it up towards the actual windshield had broke, and that was at the anchor, not at the anchor, sorry, where you actually attach this to the actual suction cup itself. This one, on the other hand, I did have a small problem with the first suction cup that came with it. I had to go back to Madison, where I had actually purchased this, Madison Electronics, and see if they can actually get to see if they had a spare suction cup that would fit this. And luckily they did have another the exact same model in their display, and they were able to pull that one out and test it actually on a piece of glass, which did work. So the only thing I had to do was put the attachment, the suction cup on first, and then put this here on it, and then plug it in. That's the only major fault in regards to this. And when you're doing recordings, whether you want to use both cameras at the same time, the front camera or the one that's facing inside of the car, you have to basically set that up in the menuing system in order to tell it, okay, record from here, or record from camera 1 or camera 2, because it won't do it automatically. You have to go into the menu in order to start to get that to be done as a default. The way I had it set up was defaulted with both cameras running with audio on it, and that worked fine. And I figured going into the menuing system, I can simply click on it and say, okay, give me the first camera or give me the second camera, like either outside or inside. And it doesn't work that way, because it stays put to the default that you had set it to on the initial setup on this. The other thing that I find really weird with this as well, and I was reading the manual that came with it, the SD card, when you first format it, it's not the standard extension FAT or FAT32 that most operating systems like Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, or if you're running a version of OS X, as an example, or Linux, as an example. I have Ubuntu Studio over here as my other editor on my other machine. Won't see it as a standard drive. In other words, you can't go into your your file manager, go to the SD card itself, and then actually pull the data off of it. I had to use this little guy, which is an SD card reader, because this is a micro SD card that's using inside this here, and pull it off. But there is a software that gets actually downloaded or read into the SD card, which is actually built into the firmware of this. So whenever you reformat the drive, the firmware actually gets written to the SD card. I think it's only maybe about 5 or 6 megs the most, in order to launch it. But once you have it there, you can actually import the files you want, and then save them locally onto your hard drive. This is what I find is a big, how can I put it, is a big not a mistake per se, but I understand their logic. But it's cumbersome because it takes a long time to download these files. Not only that, in comparison with my other one, which is the previous one that I have, this guy here, you can set the file form. You can set the limit of the recordings. I believe up to 5 or 10 minutes in the recording session. This one here doesn't do it as such. It doesn't record in increments of 1, 3, 5, or 10 minutes. Most other ones usually do it in 1, 3, 5, or even 10 minutes. So that way it makes it into smaller chunks, more usable. So when you're doing video editing like I'm doing here, and I'm using my movie maker as an example, it gives you the option of which one you want to pull out. Whereas this one, it does it as one large file. And when I was doing it with both cameras as an example, going from let's say from one place to another, and I was doing it. No, actually, I was going from Laval to going from my place to Laval. It was about close to almost a gig in recording. That's using both cameras. So I mean, I do understand there's a lot more images and audio in that. So I do understand that the file tends to get large, but still, it should have been down to like a 5 or 10 minute recording where it gives the chance to buffer it right onto the SD card. That's why I find that this is a little bit limiting in that respect. Overall, it's good. When you first set it up, it takes about 5 or 10 minutes to actually set up the way you want it. But if you want to switch on the fly between one camera and another, you have to pull over and, of course, set it up to either the front camera or the interior camera of it, or use both, depending on how you want to set it up. So overall, for $90, you get what you pay for, and I'm using a 32 gigabyte SD card on here. So I want to make sure that I have more than enough for the recordings for what I'm doing. So 32 gigs is usually the standard for me for these dash cams, because these dash cams are good to a certain extent, but the resolution is not too good on this one. Whereas this one, where I paid $50, 720p is more or less the standard, which is more than enough for any vlogging that you want to do, or just have it as a secure type of thing in case you have an accident and all that, or there's a problem and you get a ticket, and you can show them, look, here's the footage, unedited. So overall, for $90, I can't complain. It's a good little product to do what I needed to do for vlogging and all that. It'll come in handy for whenever I do it. And besides having my own other digital camera, which I do bring with me often enough when I'm out and about with my other colleagues and friends, it comes in handy. Anyhow, so this is the end of this review of this particular one. I hope you like it. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Give it a thumbs down, or just comment of what you liked about this. Thanks, and have yourself a great day.